What's up, guys?
What up?
Howdy.
What's up?
So tonight we've got Missouri Enduro Series geniuses, Matt Johnson, the race director, and then what would you guys? Are you guys race coordinators, designers?
What'd you guys call them?
Maybe.
Elkan or Powell?
Powell
Elkan signature courses.
Yeah, signature
Yes.
courses.
Yeah, so Jeff
Yes.
Powell and Dave Elkan here. We've talked to Jeff and Matt before. Dave, you've not been on the podcast with us.
Well, thanks for having me.
I think a lot of people have heard your name, but maybe don't know where you came from or who you are or
Sure.
any of that kind of stuff. Do you have like a elevator speech to who you are?
Sure. I'll just stick to my enduro background, not go into mountain bike racing background. But I grew up in St. Louis. Went out to Colorado. Was out there 25 years, and work unrelated to mountain bike racing brought me back. Family brought me back to St. Louis, and so brought the family here, and been fortunate enough to be around enduro since it started in in the U.S. 2010, 2011, and fortunate enough to be involved with BME, EWS, and all that fun stuff. And it's fun to come back here and be able to not just help out and put these guys in a position to really be successful, but to also actually be putting out a really great product. The courses are awesome, and kudos to Matt and Jeff for getting approvals and all the hard work to give us the opportunity to do this high level stuff.
Yeah, so we just got done. Chubb Enduro was a couple weekends ago. A couple weeks before that was a Greensfelder Enduro. I know the shop here was full of people from Iowa, Wisconsin. People are traveling from all over the Midwest to come to this series. A lot of people, this is their second year. So this is kind of, I guess, what we call it, the third season of the Missouri Enduro Series.
Really the second series, second year,
full season,
second full season. The first
Third
year
Chubb
we
Enduro.
right. Third for Chubb, but second for the series.
Yeah.
And Dave Elkan is the one who pretty much, we were out there riding, goes, guys, we could do an enduro out here at Chubb. And we're like, okay, what is that? Because Jeff kind of had a little bit of it, but I definitely had not. I just know a lot of people like to do it. So Dave was like the ones like, we could definitely do something out here. And we started from there. So
is there any, there's obviously like the Southern Enduro Series here in the Midwest. Is there any other Enduro series, like anything up north that takes place?
There was, but there's not one this year.
Okay.
That's why there were people here from Wisconsin and Indiana and Ohio.
Yep. And this is their second. Everybody who came into the shop, they've been here they raced last year. They came back again. So obviously they had a good experience last year and kind of, I guess, your first full season. What do you guys, is there anything that's kind of happened in this second year that you're excited to see that it's kind of a big improvement from maybe your first season? Or
I would say for our rough cuts, I think they've improved tremendously for us getting permission to do the rough cuts into the trails that we find that we should send enduro down to, where it's not so much a quote unquote flow trail. It's more rugged, more technical, more steeper. So I think this year we've really stepped our game up for the rough cuts. And as for Greensfelder and Chubb, it just happened. The stoke is still high from Greensfelder. That was 4 weeks ago.
Yeah.
And people are still going on about the rough cuts in areas that we've sent them down. And then also, I'll go ahead and go right into Chubb, is the blind stage that Jeff and Dave both have produced for that race was amazing. Everybody loved it. And then what we did for a rough cut, which we ended up being stage 7, was so steep. It wasn't one of those. Both races were like, okay, get to the start, let off the brake and go. It was bike handling skills on both courses that Jeff and Dave produced.
Yeah, dude, there was a couple drops in there that were pretty tight and narrow that got thrown in. I was like, how are people coming down that in bike, especially at race pace? So, yeah, you did not make it easy. And
No.
The B lines really served a pretty big penalty, which I think is a really cool aspect to add in. So, big risk comes big reward.
Correct. That is correct. We wanted to give those who wanted to take the big risk the reward of the time, not having so much time on their clock, and being able to ride those technical sections. And I think it was awesome. I mean, with Greensfelder, we had 8 stages, which, you know, normally do that in a 2-day event, but we were able to get it all within 17 miles. So what was the elevation? 2,500 feet of that. So that was amazing. But then again, you go to Chubb, and that was 13 to 14 miles, and you did 2,400 feet of climbing.
27.
27. Sorry, 27. That's right. 27.
How many riders did you end up having at the Greensfelder Enduro? How many racers?
161.
Yeah,
161 racers.
That's a lot.
So that was huge. And I do recognize Jeff and Dave both at the races, and they're the masterminds behind courses, because they're sometimes like, no, Dave, we can't go there.
well, we you know, there's a couple things. We like to make sure that the B line, the fastest person down the B line, should be slower than the slowest person down the A line. If you don't dab and you ride the A line, you should be rewarded. That's first. Second, we also have to guinea pig these things, you know, and the drop on 4, remember, was that, what's the Chickapin drop? Anyone?
5.
Stage 5. You know, we
Mm-hmm.
guinea pigged that, and we knew it was a slow speed technical drop, and it also had a little bit of a
hairpin turn,
a mental. You know, you have to. It's an enduro in, it's an enduro out. There's no berm, there's no nothing. You have to figure out, is it a slow speed drop, or do I let go of the brakes and send it? And it also had you took off up here, but your eyes almost made you look like you were gonna take off on that next little ledge down.
Mm-hmm.
But though you had to go off up top, that's why. So it was a great, simple but good challenging drop that could be modified any way a rider wanted to approach it. And we had to, but we always guinea pig it.
So
we're supposed to take turns guinea pigging. He looks more like a guinea pig than us, so we let him do it.
So there were 7 stages at Chubb. How many of them were rough cut?
There's not one stage was a complete full rough cut.
Okay.
You had stage 6, stage 5, and stage 4, and stage 7 had rough cut on them.
Right.
Them.
Yeah, 1 and 4 started with rough cuts.
Rough cut, right.
You'll always have a little bit.
You'll have a little bit
of rough, just so you can maximize, especially here in Missouri. You want to maximize the vert wherever possible.
Mm-hmm.
So if you can get an extra, 100, 200 feet of trail and get maybe an extra 40 feet of vert in that stage, like stage 1,
right?
You're going to rough cut in the start. Right. Plus here, that helps reward somebody on a flat pedally section, because if they can maintain speed, then that's great. Also, it's a nice challenge versus you want to try to avoid really punchy uphills wherever possible. But stage 1 works out great.
And the technical side of setting up the timing is also crucial.
Oh yes, yeah.
Because at Chubb, we don't have all the alternate trails like we did at Greensfelder. We had plenty of ways to get to our stages without getting near the stage. At Chubb, we're backtracking ourselves. We're coming too close, so we would have to get the beacons off the main trail, so we'd have our start and finishes in unique areas.
Right.
That way we can pass through there when we're using it as a transition and not have to worry about the beacons getting set off.
Makes a lot of
So
sense.
there's a whole lot going into it.
Yeah, and I think, just looking at like the race results from Chubb, I think it speaks a lot to kind of the course design. I think we saw a lot of people on the podiums and do really well in that race that maybe have never done so well in a race. So it seems like anybody can kind of come in and compete in these races,
Right.
because everything is so new, because there is rough cut sections on every trail and everything's going to be a little bit different. So it keeps, even the local folks from having too much of an advantage, or somebody who maybe has done the race before or is kind of has an idea where these lines might be and practicing. You guys completely mix things up. It's crazy.
Oh yeah. Like we said, it's a bike handling course. You got to be able to handle your bike and know when to be on the gas and know when to be on the brake. Which I think these guys put way too much more thought into what.
Yeah, we're having fun.
Well, we're
What they're
having
having
fun.
fun.
Our bikes doing.
There's nothing neater than going that, Jeff and I did that roll in first, right? And you're looking
right off
at
the trail.
right. You're going.
Gone.
I went there. I got all padded. I literally. Where would we go? We went there for an hour. I had an hour to spare.
Right.
I go. I am not leaving until. I am not leaving. I woke up in the middle of the night. I'm not leaving until I ride it.
Right.
Forget it. We're going.
Yeah.
Got into armor and the whole 9 yards, and we're all up there looking. I go, look. When you do stuff, that's the stuff we do a lot. It's just Shepherd Mountain has a section just like that. You don't even think about not Shepherd. You just go down the waterfall.
Mhm.
But here's a brand new feature at Chubb. You've ridden Chubb gazillion times. Even though I moved away for 25 years, I grew up at Chubb, right? Everything here. You're like, I don't know. My pedal did this or that. And it's like, okay, I know if I put my front wheel there. And so all of us, the first time we rode, and people were calling me, how did you do it? How did you learn it? And I said, look, just go off the trail the first time. Don't worry about the right turn at the bottom.
And those riders get the advantage of it already being ridden in. Where when we get down there,
Yeah,
it's fresh.
It's fresh.
There's no line. We're
There's
trying
no
to figure it
line.
out.
Yeah,
And we're trying to figure out where to put the front wheel, when you should bunny hop, when you should pedal, when you should, go. And that takes way more time. But then by the time they get there, it's all blown in and taped off. And we like, all right, this is the area you want to try to do and everything. But there's so much, people just don't see the work that these guys and I put into it to get to that finished product.
Yeah, I think, and I talked with Jeff and Matt prior to leading up to the Greensfelder Enduro, and we talked about how Greensfelder was going to be maybe a little bit easier of an enduro, great for beginners, and a lot of brand new beginners were at that race, which was awesome.
Mhm.
But I didn't really hear anybody complain that the race wasn't, or the stages weren't difficult enough or anything along those lines. So I think that degree of difficulty, and there was enough, tricky sections in there to where nobody felt as though that was, overly simple or anything along those lines. So I assume you're just working on this all year, and you guys already have plans for next year.
Well,
Yes.
while we're cleaning up the course or setting up the course for each race, it's already happened. We are like, oh, look at that. I didn't see that last year. Or, oh, look at
I
that.
found this awesome A-line for Greensfelder while I was pulling tapes. Like, oh, look at this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This can include a rock, a gap, and a slab.
Yeah.
It's like, all
So
right, next year.
we're already, if you would see his arsenal of maps that he has and different versions of Chubb and different versions of Greensfelder and where to go, we're already working on it.
And what's wild?
Never stops.
What's interesting, and I would say this when I'd be riding with Jeff when I was commuting back here for work for the last 5 years, and I'd be riding these trails that were built, and the thing is we say rough cut, but really the only stage, like you guys were saying, the blind stage on 6 was rough, but that was only the bottom quarter.
Correct.
Okay, and not even all of even though it appeared like
7,
it's a rough cut, 8 at Greensfelder,
right?
No, Greensfelder. Even though it appeared to be a rough cut, that was an established trail from the camp
that hadn't been used.
So what's real interesting is really all we're trying to do is find unique ways to connect the already quality contouring trails that are there. So if you look at how we kind of approached Greensfelder, like the way Jeff did, what was the drop? Not the drop, but the super long downhill was at stage 6. Not Matt's Crack, the other one.
Oh, Beulah Eagle.
Beulah Eagle. The way he did that was just basically the existing trail, but instead to avoid a couple of uphills and to give it some spice, you just figure out how to connect the switchbacks. And when you start doing that and you start straightening out the trail in just a few key spots, it goes from cross country to enduro real quick. And the terrain here is just fantastic. It really is. There's aspects of all these parks with either, I mean, even stage 6 at Klondike, that's established trail. None of that
NGA.
None of that was rough cut.
Yeah.
None of it. It was all there.
It was already
including
there.
the slab, including the roll in left turn. It was all there.
Yeah.
And so
We had to create a beeline on it though.
Right. We had to
rough cut in a beeline.
Right.
But the point is the terrain here is excellent. The trails that have been built are excellent. And for enduro, it's just a matter of tweaking
it
things
here and there to
Yep.
make it work. We don't have what BME is able to do at Ironton, to where they can go and do, from point A to point B, it's going to be all 100% rough cut. We don't have that opportunity yet.
Yeah.
Maybe one day, but we don't have that opportunity yet. But what BME is able to do down in Ironton is huge. And I don't know, is there any other parks that allow you to do that at?
So we do.
I mean, you get to do a section
Yes,
here and there, but is there all 100%?
Yeah, we'll do full
Oh.
top to bottom rough cuts at venues that allow it. A lot of times, out west, you have a mix of some ski areas are 100% private property.
Right.
Some are U.S. Forest Service portions of it.
Mm-hmm.
One of the reasons Angel Fire is such a great bike park is it's 100% on private property.
Mm.
So they can go in, tweak what they want, do what they need to do, this and that. They don't have to ask for permission. Big Sky is the same way. So Big Sky, a lot of years we'll see a new rough cut at Big Sky, top to bottom of a new stage that no one's ever seen before.
And do those stay a lot of times?
Yes, and that's what we're really proud of. Not to digress into BME, but one thing we like to do is when we go to Shepherd, we want to make sure that the 3 new rough cuts that everyone's going to get to ride are now permanent trails on their network, right? Kind of like the 2 last year. Those 2 are now there. They're cut in, they're maintained, their signage. And when everyone rides especially the front side, Mountain Street, I mean, I think it's
so much fun.
It's so much fun.
So much fun.
Complete with a full-on North Shore slab.
So
It's
BME is
great.
coming up in a couple weeks.
It is, yeah.
Yep.
We're going to talk about BME now.
Yeah,
No.
is that sold out?
So
Put on something else.
so it's not sold out. People can still sign up.
Cool.
Part of the reason it's twofold why it's not sold out. Last year it sold out because we didn't quite understand our capacity.
Sure.
We didn't quite know how it would run, and we wanted a great experience. Now that we know how many people we can handle, there's no restrictions from property owners and such there. So it's really on us to make sure we just can manage it, and we can handle 400 easy. So we have more than last year, but it's still not sold out. So
And then-
anyone can still sign up through bigmountainenduro.com.
And that's a 2-day event?
It's 2 days this year. Yes, it'll be 2 days of practice Thursday, practice Friday. And the town will be running shuttles for practice. And it's a discounted ticket for $15. And that'll be out in the BME newsletter coming up. The expectation and the reason why it is a half price ticket is because we know their uphill capacity is what it is. They're going to add, I think, 3 or 4 shuttles. So the hope is you're going to come down there. There's going to be a line, but maybe you get 2 or 3 rides up in a day for $15. So to minimize your pedaling on practice days. And we think there's a value there for the town and for the racer. So the town's going to do that. Saturday and Sunday's 100% pedaling. It'll be 5 stages on Saturday, 4 on Sunday.
What, are they running the shuttles for spectators?
Spectators.
On Saturday, Sunday?
Yeah, spectators
Yeah,
on Saturday, Sunday. And if the weather is good, I'm finally going to get my on-mountain DJ at the top. I've always wanted it. The minute I saw that hub up, the
Is
hub
there
up there.
power up there?
Oh, we'll bring power up there.
Just a generator.
Yeah, we'll get a generator and our
yeah.
sound system up there. And on Saturday from 11 to 1, yeah, we're gonna have DC is our MC. And if you don't know DC, he does X Games, Do Tour. He's a TV commentator and an outstanding DJ, and he loves mountain biking, great rider, and he's probably his head's getting real big right now, but
Right.
yeah, he's a great guy. You guys will love him. And I told him, hey, you're going to the top of the mountain, and he goes, whatever you need, boss. Like, all right.
So, and that's interesting to kind of bring the point of how BME ended up at Shepherd Mountain, and that was a really big deal from Missouri. And I think, and people with Shepherd with the race last year, I think it really was eye-opening for people traveling here to Missouri on what was possible on those trails. I think it really kind of opened the eyes for the area, but a lot of people don't. Or how did you get Big Mountain Enduro here? Or what went into that? What did that look like?
Well, it's an interesting story. It happened very quickly.
Yeah.
But I not to go backwards real quick. I think Shepherd has not just opened people's eyes to Missouri, it opened Missouri's eyes to Missouri.
Sure.
And I think the success of Shepherd, BME or no BME, what Shepherd and what Clinton and Alex and Dave Schultz and those guys put together down there, and the mayor and everybody involved, they bucked the trend of what everybody in every municipality was building. And holy moly, did they put something together that isn't just good, great. It's absolutely top of the mark. And by seeing that, it gives these guys the abilities to do something like that at Chubb. Go, okay, now we know what the waterfall looks like. We know racers in Missouri, at least maybe they can, maybe some can ride it and some cannot, but at least they know what they might see at a Missouri Enduro. And that's to credit Shepherd and what they put together. So now to rewind, it all started with the first Chubb Enduro. I really wanted to see. I remember cross country racing in Missouri all those years, and it was always a great experience. But it felt like it was becoming a weekly activity, if you will. It was let's show up, let's race, let's leave. And there's a vibe to enduro that we want to capture, that we want to see. And when I saw, I fractured 3 ribs in that enduro on the course that was my idea.
On the Chubb Enduro.
Yeah, the first year.
I think he was wearing armor.
No, I was wearing no armor.
Was no armor.
Anyway, so but I got to mingle with everybody, ride the course. People were having a blast. It was going exactly how we want to see. It's not about, can I ride this section? It's about completing the adventure with your buddies. It's about talking to people. Hey, how did you handle that section? Oh, I don't know if I can do that. Oh, sure you can. Just put your wheel here and That's what we want to see. And then the after effects at the everybody showed up at the party at your place and the brewery. Everybody was there.
Yeah.
And I said, okay, I know we've got the basis to justify a discussion of a BME here, because I had heard rumblings of the Shepherd Mountain stuff.
Yeah.
And then when I went there and I saw, it's kind of funny when I see the famous wooden roll-in. To be honest, that's the last thing you want to do to promote us to come to your place. We're not wooden feature type guys. But I went there and I walked it. I think Jeff, you were there. We were in the Humvee and then we rode it, and poof. Are all the trails going to be like that?
Yeah.
Yes. I called Brandon, it's one of those chain reactions. And it's probably one of the first locations we've ever gone to. Well, no, Purgatory last year was another one, but very rarely do we go somewhere where the trails that we're going to race are not completed yet.
Right.
And then Tony came in, our event director last year, but been around the enduro scene for a long time, and his opinion is well respected. Flew him in, stayed with me. We went down there. Jeff and I went down there again, and we walked Mine Shaft, only to just below the spiral. And you're just going, are you serious?
Right.
This is here. And every time I go to Shepherd, I'm riding it going, I can't believe this is here. And it's just fantastic. So anyway, that's really it in a nutshell. We saw the possibilities. We saw the commitment from the town. When it was announced on Pink Book, it practically broke the site, right? People going, what?
Why Missouri?
Missouri?
Yeah, and I think
And,
it's important.
Anyway, it's a great, it was just awesome how it just grew organically from there. And I couldn't be happier.
Yeah, and I think things are successful here a lot because of the people that are here. And, you know, and like you said, seeing everybody show up. And then after the race, even though it was 40 degrees and raining all day and there was other things to be concerned about, everybody still showed up afterwards. You know, and prior to that, like when we were trying to do the Eureka Mountain Bike Park, everybody showed up to that. The city, people see that. People take notice of that. So, you know, when you're signing up for a bike race or whether you're just going to support it and go watch, you know, your presence there makes a big difference. So whether you're racing or not, I mean, ideally just sign up and race. You can get last place. It's not a big deal. But yeah, it makes a big difference to people that are here. And, you know, I remember with Eureka Mountain Bike Park, we had to fight to get stuff in and everything was, well, that's too big. That's too dangerous. That's too this and that. And that's a good point. That conversation really stopped happening as much once Shepherd was built because it kind of raised the bar up here. And then everything else was like, oh, well, they've got that down there, so we can do that here. You know,
it helps, and it helps a ton. And Matt, that first year with Chubb, the way the whole event came together, and as well as it came together, and the way I always say the word vibe, but the way the excitement and the stoke level just went all the way through awards, which just doesn't. It's hard at our events. It just is very difficult to maintain that. And when I saw that, I just knew it. You just know it. You've been around. I've been doing events for 20 some years. You know it. You just know it.
And then
that's
the thing.
Good job, man.
Thank you. And that's the thing. As a race promoter, I'm promoting the come out and race and try to get on the podium and stuff. But at the end of the day, it's all about the experience. That's what I'm promoting, the experience. And I think everyone that comes to all of my events enjoy the experience. Even if they don't get on the podium or they don't walk away with any swag, I try to keep the stoke high throughout the whole day. There are issues that come up, and I try not to show them to the spectators or the racers. We had a few come up, but we dealt with them. And I think at the end of the day, when everybody left that park, either it be Greensfelder or Chubb or St. Gnarls, they really enjoyed the experience, even as a spectator or a racer.
And that's the thing. He created a day-long event that you wanted to be at, and you wanted to finish. The minute look, the competition is key. But like I said just a few moments ago, it's about completing the day. Did you try something that you were not going to do before? Did you complete? Chubb was a big day this year. That was a big day. And you know what's also neat that
7.
Well, you know,
it's only 14 miles with 2,700 feet of elevation.
But
Greensfelder,
not so much. Chubb is close, but Greensfelder, you know, one thing we talk about at BME is we call it a net, right? Did you descend for every foot you climbed? And if you're doing that, then you're really on your game. Greensfelder, did you ever go up something you didn't race down?
No.
That's pretty. I mean, that's Jeff. He's you know, it's just stuff we talk about when we're riding. Is okay. 1,500 vert of descending, that's fine. Wait, 3,000 vert of climbing to get to that 1,500 feet of descending? I don't care if you're in Durango or Illinois, that's a problem, right? So you want to try to balance it out and to get it every time you go up, you race down. That's always the goal.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I think so. Over the 14 miles, I think what was fastest time 14 minutes something.
1411.
1411.
That college kid from Lindenwood.
Yeah.
From Lindenwood.
Grant.
Yeah, I saw him up there.
Wasn't
on
it
the podium.
Grant?
Yeah.
Yeah, Grant Lampson.
And that's what was so cool
He's
about it
hammering.
is that there was a lot of people that were on the podium at Greensfelder that weren't on the podium for Chubb.
Yep.
So that was huge to see that I see that the sport is growing and there's more people coming in to do these events.
Yep.
And then also, you know, I am picking on Jeff, but he had a mechanical. And at the end of the day, he just had a mechanical. So there's nothing he could have done about that, you know. But I'm just glad to see that there's other people that are coming to these events that had never come to do them yet. Still.
He's talking about with this podium. I heard a lot of chatter since I was racing.
Mhm.
I get to hear the racers talk too, and there are ones that got on the podium that didn't get on a Greensfelder, but that was their goal. They knew they were within seconds, or they made this little mistake, or
Sure.
they didn't give the person in front of them enough space, so they caught them and they missed the podium just by that much. And now they're on the podium at Chubb, so they had their goals set. And you hear the success stories is awesome.
Yeah, I've heard that complaint from a lot of people who that was the one place where they feel they could have done better was not giving somebody enough space in front
Yep.
of them before they did their run, which I find to be an interesting excuse sometimes.
Well,
Right.
that's a
And
learning. That's a
it's
learning curve. I mean,
yeah.
you know, we have BME. We have designated start times, but I mean, with these high tech timing systems now, it's literally it's on the racer almost to decide when it's the right time for them to drop.
Yeah, they need to communicate with the person in front of them that's
Yep.
getting ready to drop. Hey, what kind of rider are you? Are you a beginner? Are you intermediate? Or are you expert? Or what are you? You know,
Taking the B lines or the A lines.
right? You know,
Yeah, and you'll never know. You know, was there a rerun, or there was somebody having a mechanical and is way late, and now an amateur is mixed in with the expert category. It happens a lot, and so you really need to be conscious of who's in front of you.
Well,
You
in
know.
the pro category, wasn't between like 4th, 5th, and 6th, wasn't it like
10 seconds.
yeah,
10
and,
seconds.
Like,
I was 6th.
Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was 10 seconds.
Yeah, there was a couple people who were like a 10th of a difference.
Oh yeah,
And the second
it
difference
is
is
determined
drawing
between a
your time.
100th of a second. That's
Yeah.
how good these timing systems are. I mean, because
I think it's a perfect too because Dayton and I tied at the exact
Right.
same score after 8
yeah.
stages at Greensfelder. Exact same time.
Yeah, and just like looking at the race results, when I kind of looked through them and just seeing everybody's times, it was very consistent throughout all the categories, and everybody was around the time. And I think that again speaks how well designed the course was. There wasn't these huge variations of
No.
when people were completing or not completing. Everything was kind of to be expected. Like
Yeah.
so that was what was most exciting for me. It wasn't, we see that often with cross country races. It's kind of the same. It's Jeff Powell on the podium getting first place every single time. But with this enduro, especially, you guys throw in surprises like the blind stage, or maybe on race day, a line's a little bit different or something along those lines. So, that really just makes it more exciting for people who are coming in to kind of know they might have a chance at that.
Yep.
right.
So that's
Exactly.
a really cool thing that I think sets it apart from other racing that you can do here in the Midwest.
Mm-hmm.
You'll find that at most venues.
Yeah.
Not just here at MES, but the other places I go. That's one of the fun factors is they throw a wrinkle in there.
With
They're gonna make sure that the locals don't have everything.
Mm-hmm.
Which is why it's hard at a bike park,
Yeah.
right? You lap it, and you lap it, and you lap it. I mean, Winter Park. We go to Winter Park often. We're taking we're taking a year off from Winter Park this year, but I know we'll be back at Winter Park, and there's people that could ride Rainmaker in their sleep, right? Literally, their eyes closed. They've just done it so many times. So it's a place like Winter Park is really tricky. So we throw in a couple of these backcountry stages, and it's really been great at Winter Park, and we're really making a conscious effort to add more backcountry stages at all of our stops. So every location will have. Well, Big Sky already has a backcountry feel. There's one side of the mountain that is definitely less bike parky than the other. And it doesn't really matter because that place is absolutely loony steep. But point is, you get sections that people just aren't riding regularly. They can't because they don't exist, or they just don't ride them enough because it's a backcountry and not lift served. So you just can't get the laps on them. So, one thing I want to talk about on BME and to bring Jeff in for sure. Jeff's going to be overseeing all of the expo and our headquarters area for BME throughout the whole season. So I want to welcome him, and it's exciting to be with Jeff for all this. With that said, I wanted him to talk a little bit about, for the racers and the family members and spectators that are coming down for Ironton. It is going to be I'm going to go on a limb and say it's triple the size of last year.
And last year was amazing. I was absolutely blown away what, the kind of headquarters, the city looked like. Just everything was put together so well by BME and also by the city of Ironton. So yeah, I mean, judging by how you guys kind of stepped everything else up this year, I would expect it's going to be pretty insane too.
It's a lot bigger this year. I mean, I've been working on the footprint for the village this past few weeks, and we're filling up the streets. For last year, the BME side went up Wayne Street mostly, and we had a couple up Main Street.
Right.
And this year, we're pretty much going all the way, both directions. Nice. We've got big teams coming in. We've got new vendors coming in. Ironton's bringing their own locals. They got their 5 or 6 vendors that are coming in. MES is bringing most of their sponsors that are coming down also to be a part of it. And it's going to be set up.
Run through some of we try to avoid mentioning specific riders, but if you know the teams, you can form your guesses. You can form your guesses.
So those are the little things I have to watch where I step, because I know I can and can't say certain things that I'm not supposed to, whatever the BME has their ways. But I know that the teams that I'm hearing about are Specialized, Yeti, Pivot, I9, Maxis is bringing a big team. Who else am I forgetting? Pivot.
I always mispronounce it. Farazi.
Oh, I didn't know they were coming. We should just pick them up.
Fazari,
yeah. Well, and
I'm such a Ferrari fan.
And to that point, I mean, I can go 2 days without talking to Brandon, the owner, and find out we've already picked up somebody else, and I got to go back and add them in there. So we are
Pivot Intense.
Intense.
Is it Intense?
No, I haven't heard about Intense yet.
Yeah, Intense.
And those are the team names that are coming in. We still have lots of other sponsors and vendors that are also going to be there. Shimano, Fox, POC, Ball and Cycle, Southside, Trail Labs. I think is Barley coming?
Barley RV's coming.
Wheels Up.
Wheels Up.
Kudos to Cody and his coaches. What an amazing! I just want to what do you say? It's amazing.
Yeah.
I mean, Cody's coming. He's bringing the trailer, and we're working with Lacey and Ironton to bring the ramps too, so they can have those set up.
So that was really cool, Jeff. Obviously, you're involved with Wheels Up.
Yeah. He wears many hats.
We usually, I was actually thinking we should have like this wheel where we spin it and it's just head around it, and then it stops on whatever he's doing.
The Wheels
today.
Up Enduro team is just incredible. What Cody created and designed, and then the chemistry of the right coaches together. I don't know about the other 2 fractions in Springfield and Kansas City. I haven't talked to them enough. They showed up to Greensfelder in force. But here in St. Louis, the coaches we have, just for example, last night we were at Bluffview. We probably had 15 to 18 of our kids out there doing the downhill line and the jump line, and they were having a blast. And these kids got incredible skills, and then they throw it down on an enduro course too. I mean, they're only a minute behind some of the experts and pros.
Yeah, wait till their times are in the.
Yeah,
I mean,
I couldn't believe it.
Our Groms. Yeah, when you see the BME, the Grom category, the top. I bet the top 6 kids would be top 15.
Oh, last year the top
pro.
Grom was 90 seconds faster than me. I'm not saying I'm faster or anything, but it's just that's where they were. Just, I've been doing it for a while, but that's how fast these guys are. He's talking about they are just insane. And credit to you, back at you, Mountain Bike Shed. I mean, we got all these kids, but they're always talking about all the shops they're going to. Ball and Cycles, Trailhead, Bike Center. I think somewhere up in St. Charles, is that Momentum up there? Yeah, so they're all talking about theirs because we're bringing in everybody from all over St. Louis for for what, when we had our Wentzville kids were down in practice. We had 2 new kids from Wentzville that heard about it and they wanted to come down. So they practiced with us last night.
Well, and that was a big part for me in wanting to open the shop was I knew we had to get younger riders into the sport. And that's something that this Enduro series has finally done is it kind of legitimizes for kids what they're doing. So when there is big races in town, when you have things like BME coming to town and all these factory race teams, or now when you show up to the Chubb Enduro, the Greensfelder Enduro, Wheels Up has got a full pro setup for the Wheels Up.
It is a
Enduro.
pro setup.
It is a pro setup.
Yeah,
It's really cool because it legitimizes the sport to kids to where now if you're a 13-year-old, like, you know, we just had a 13-year-old in the shop today, he's talking about his full suspension bike. There's teams that he can join. There's a race series. There's pros coming to Missouri. He can take his parents down to go watch that race. And it helps them justify, like, Mom, I need a $3,000 bike. And they're like, why would I spend $3,000 on a bike? And they're like, well, here, there's this, and this going on. So without that, you know, we're not able to help those kids be able to find that new passion and everything else. Because, you know, when you compare it to other sports, hockey's, baseball, they're way more expensive than mountain biking.
I agree with you.
Well, and Matt,
Yeah.
and also with the ability to have these types of technical courses and trails here in the Midwest, it prepares these kids to go anywhere.
Exactly.
You know, I was just in Pisgah. The place is amazing, right? I can't wait to get to Windrock and see the steeps there. But enduro is one of those things where if you have it's not necessarily about the vert, right? You need vertical, right? But it doesn't need to be from the top of the 14er down to sea level, right? It can be, if it has the right elements, the right balance, and challenges even the best rider, then it's a quality course. And we're very lucky here in Missouri to be able to have the terrain to do that and to be able to showcase it, whether it be Shepherd Mountain and a BME or the MES. It's just incredible. I mean, I'm having as much fun here as I had out west. Yeah, the trails are awesome.
Well, and it, you know, it's the same thing, kind of the same thought process. I'm sure that's behind, like, you know, we've got Hidden Valley Ski Resort here in Eureka in town. And it's kind of a feeder resort to get people to go out. And, you know, I see that the same with like our Enduro series here by, you know, young people being able to go to it or adults. You know, you do an Enduro race here, you know, and it's now you have the confidence to go and do an Enduro race, you know, at Big Sky, at some other place where normally that wouldn't even be a thought for anybody in Missouri. They're like, I'm not just going to go sign up for an Enduro race in Colorado. You know, they would be completely freaked out. So, you know, it again kind of opens up that the same way mountain biking, I think, does for people. It opens up a whole new world of possibilities, you know, to where now, you know, maybe you're not a big traveler, you're not whatever else, but you've done a BME race because you did Shepherd. So now you're comfortable doing some of the other BME races and getting out there. So I think it's really neat. I think there's very few things in life or very few things that we can do to kind of open up people's worldviews that much or to give them that much opportunity to travel and kind of confidence to do things like that. So I think it's really neat to see this race series pick up. And, you know, it really is a big deal. And when you guys are putting in all that work out there, you know, it's nothing to kind of shrug off, you know. And I know we appreciate it at shops here because it's growing our base and getting everybody to buy bigger, more fun bikes and more armor and, you know, and then more trails are showing up because of it. So really important stuff. And, you know, I'm glad you guys are doing it.
Well, and, you know, Enduro maintains that fitness component.
No.
I mean, you're not just going, hey, I'm going to go out and do the Chubb Enduro tomorrow, right? There's still you know,
gotta get there.
We're all still cross country racers at heart. And I'm the last person who wants to take a shuttle and a chairlift to the top. I want to ride up, right? But when I get to the top, I want to find the stupidest thing to ride back down, right? You know, I just don't want to, you know, flow down the mountain. Give me something that, you know, for me, rewards me for getting to climb all the way to the top of whatever hill, mountain you know,
There's going to be a lot of rewards at Shepherd this year then.
yeah. Well, Saturday, I think we're all going to try to hammer out each
Every
stage
stage.
once, because we looked at it last week just to make sure everything was good to go. Because we'd only walked it, lopped it, and there was some chit chat that we needed to go address, and it rained, and in my contract I don't get muddy or wet, so
It is
still a lot of fun.
You know what?
Right,
They are in quotations, but it's in there.
The thing is that mountain, all those trails have this wild, like almost like Pacific Northwest loam, and I'm not all the trails. I'm sorry, the rough cuts on the south side of the mountain, and so they could be ridden in a pouring rain. Yeah, it was a lot of. It's great. So we're gonna go try and hammer out each stage on Saturday, and so
That's
we'll
the next step up. Greensfelder, Chubb, Ironton, and then we get to have a lot of fun at
St. Gnarls.
St. Gnarls.
And that's what month? That's in
That is June 5th.
June 5th.
No,
June
6th.
5th.
Wasn't it the 6th?
Fifth.
5th? Okay.
6th is Monday. I
Oh,
know.
is it?
6th is.
Oh.
So
That's his
on
birthday.
PME though, there's going to be a big vendor plaza. I'm sure there's going to be like food vendors and all that kind of stuff mixed in.
Yes.
What are the other plans? Is like if I was going down to spectate, when would be a good time for me to come?
Saturday for sure. Saturday, Sunday are the big race days. And then we have stage Dave was talking about comes on the front side of the mountain on Saturday, which is the mountain street stage is what it's called right now. They're going to write an appropriate name for their city,
Sure.
for their mountain down there for it. But right now,
Okay.
that'll be an easy one because you can park near downtown and then walk up
Okay.
the bottom of it, not on the trail, but on the sides of it. That'll be great spectator spots on that one, and especially the big rock slab that he's talking about. I mean,
Yeah, we haven't decided where Cannonball's going yet.
yeah.
I mean, I have no problem saying that Cannonball's in it, because why wouldn't it be in
Right,
it?
yeah.
So it's almost
People want to go
kind of like
see
Alpe
that.
d'Huez or something in the
And
tour. It's
then
got
on Sunday, the final stage, people want to park over by the trailhead.
Okay.
For the spectators, that's where they'll be going up on that. I mean, both places are going to have plenty of places to watch.
Yep.
If you go to the trailhead, there's more parking over there and easier access to several of the stages versus just the one on Mountain Street. But that will end the day on Saturday, right back in town, bringing all the racers and the spectators back to downtown, back into the vendor village, which is where we want everybody around the restaurants.
And then there's concerts Friday and Saturday night on the main stage. And
That's
then
put on by Ironton.
that's put on by the city of Ironton. And then
Is it going to be like bluegrass folk kind of stuff?
you know what? I'm hoping to get their lineup. I have it. I
Yeah.
asked for it because we wanted to include it in our newsletter. So hopefully we see the lineup here soon. And then of course the DJ on the mountain, if the weather's good, from 11 to 1 on Saturday.
10 Barrel will be there.
10 Barrel. Yep.
Friday or just Saturday night?
10 Barrel beer will be there, pouring beer, complimentary beers for age qualified racers on Saturday and Sunday.
Nice.
And then waiver check, right? And then and then of course for sale, 10 Barrels is our new beer sponsor. Happy as heck to have a Oregon based beer on board, and it's available here in Missouri. Specialized is our new title sponsor. So it's Big Mountain Enduro presented by Specialized, and Jeff Metzgen couldn't be more excited with the way the industry has stepped up this year to embrace enduro and this concept of a national series that we've built. We're really excited. Missouri, then we go to Montana, Big Sky, Montana. Then we go to Colorado, Purgatory, which is Durango, and then Bryan Head, Utah, which is southwest Utah, basically hurricane area. And then we finish in Bend, Oregon in September. It's one a month, and
Get to travel.
Yeah.
Our bikes.
Yeah, and that's the cool thing. And yeah, I guess, that's another point you guys bring up that I didn't really realize doesn't really exist right now. Is a lot of these Enduro series are very kind of closed off. Even like Southern Enduro Series kind of goes into Texas and Arkansas, spreads out a little bit there. But yeah, it is very regional. So it is kind of neat to look at more of a national aspect of things.
well, and one thing I've always approached, I was involved with just by affiliation and working with the town of Snowmass. We hosted the Norba Nationals multiple years, and I felt they brought in they did a fantastic job putting on events. The guys out of California, But I started to feel they were doing too many of them. And one thing but it was it was a different time for mountain biking in general, right? You had cross country, downhill, 4-cross, dual slalom, super D, all happening in one weekend. There was just almost for an organizer, it's almost infinite entry fees to help cover your lunas. He'll tell you what it costs to run these things. Enduro doesn't have that luxury. Enduro almost has to be capped. We don't have an infinite dollars rolling in, so we have to manage them very carefully. And so we felt the approach for a national series was, let's keep it manageable at 5, make them special, make them really special locations. When you go to a BME, we want you to think that you're getting the highest level courses in a given region. That's what we want people to feel that they're getting when they sign up for a Big Mountain Enduro.
Big Mountain Enduro was in Ironton last year. It's here this year. Is there any guarantee of future years so far, or?
Oh, absolutely. We would, I can't speak on continuous years, but we always, depending on what the calendar looks like and how everything shapes up, and we have to have discussions with the town. A lot of discussions. I mean, it's not just whether BME wants to come back. It's the town. So there's a lot of discussions to be had, but everything's been positive. But we like to rotate around, right? Because we need to change it up. We'll be back at Winter Park, taking a break from Winter Park. We'll be back at Winter Park with some new courses and some new rock, backcountry stages. Glorietta. We love Glorietta. Would love to go back to Glorietta. So, that's why 5 races is perfect,
right?
Because we can go to another location and then we come back when people are, when we can go back to what we did in year 1 and it's fresh again.
Yeah, that's helpful for people. And I think there was a certain familiarity with people coming from, Iowa or Indiana. A lot of folks came down from Indiana. And there was a familiarity with the area. So it is kind of cool, with these things kind of happening in the same places, people can plan ahead on where they're going to vacation or go ride, and they're going to be familiar with those areas. So is there any talks of like the lodging and stuff down at Shepherd Mountain, since it is going to be a multi-day event?
It is booked.
It's booked.
Yeah.
The city is pretty much booked completely. They might be able to find some camping spots here and there. Otherwise, they need to look to Farmington and Fredericktown.
Potosi. Yeah, and there's camp. Where's a campsite? What's is it Arcadia Outdoor?
Arcadia on the backside.
For Mike's spots.
I don't know how many spots they have left. But
okay.
But according to John and what else did he tell us from the city? They told us when we were down there last Friday that the city's booked. I mean, you can keep poking around, see if you can find something. Maybe somebody cancels, but yeah, it's very popular. Everybody's very excited. The town's excited. The people are coming in. Dave was using numbers over 1,000 people coming in just for the race.
Yeah, makes sense.
So. Yeah, it's and the media. It was wild. It's wild watching the video on. And I'm not a social media guy, but it's wild watching the Instagram videos, and then the comments from around the world. Yeah. They're watching our live timing, and it was really neat because there's riders that come to this that go around the world, and so they have their own fan base that follows them no matter what they're doing, and to see that happening here was really great. Yeah, the town has been nothing but amazing to work with. We can't thank them enough for their support, and to be honest, Jeff, Matt, myself, every enduro rider in the region who likes racing and these types of trails really owes a lot to that spot. I mean, I said at the start,
have a lot of pride in what they're putting together down there. They want it to be presentable, and when you come down, it looks right, it acts right, it walks right. Yeah, they do not like it if it's not right.
Yeah,
they have to fix it.
Yeah, the folks in Ironton are very genuine, very nice. Friendly folks. So very much a Missouri town. So we definitely recommend people go and stay down there and spend time. So
Well, we just went to our
Iron Horse.
Iron Horse
The
Inn.
Iron
Yeah.
Horse Inn. Yeah.
Yeah,
I was
what
gonna
a
say, I'll
great
throw their name
spot.
out real easy for them because that's where the crew. The
Unfortunately, we
operations
took
crew
all
is
their
staying.
rooms.
Yeah, well, the band's staying there
And
too.
the band.
But this couple, you're talking about genuine, down to earth. I mean, they love what they got set up. It is about the people coming in. They are not about making all the big money or anything like that. They want to have a genuine experience when you come in, and they were just awesome talking to us. So yeah, Iron Horse Inn. But it's not BME weekend. Look them up. They got a really nice setup: fire pit, ice, refrigerators, places to play out back, camp in their yard, all kinds of stuff. So.
well, mountain bikers are the kind of people you want visiting your town too. So
Yeah.
Well, there's just so much to do down there. I mean, mountain biking. You have the rivers,
rock climbing.
the Civil War
Reenactment.
the history down there.
Haunted nunnery, an old haunted.
I
Yeah.
haven't gotten that far
Yeah,
into
I
it, but
apparently there is one.
It's
I have
so
nothing.
cheap. There's an ice cream shop there, and there's also rooms there. You can stay at the haunted nunnery.
I won't be staying
Really?
there.
We had the owner's son who was like, I don't know, a 12-year-old kid, took us for a tour around
Yeah.
the place. Yeah, it was even creepier. It was awesome though. But no, yeah, really cool town. So yeah, that's it. We're about an hour in. So I appreciate you guys' time, letting everybody know about how everything's gone. I'm sure we'll talk again.
Yeah, we'll be definitely talking.
St.
probably
Gnarls,
as-
St. Gnarls Reg
So I was
open.
gonna say, we gotta get
St. Gnarls
on.
registration is open. It's
Oh, there's
full
some
flow.
sneaky peeks coming.
There is
Mr.
some.
Gablinger's been
yeah.
out and
Yes.
about sending us pictures.
I gotta give a shout out to the bike club guys and Chris Kaplinger and all that big group there. They're the ones who are directing us in which direction we need to go to put it in stages, and they're helping them put those in. And we will again have another urban stage there at Good News Brewery.
Cool.
In Augusta.
Yeah. Yeah. So everybody show up to those, even if you're not racing.